اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge with Allah from the Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, most kind, most merciful. Respected ulamas, respected elders, sisters and brothers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
May God's peace be with you. I welcome you to this meeting. Hear Deedat speak on Rushdie. It is indeed a great honor for us all to have Sheikh Ahmed Deedat amidst us once more. The internationally renowned Muslim scholar of the Christian Bible will share with us some of his experiences. He will tell us how in South Africa, with a Muslim population of less than 2%, they were about the first to succeed in having satanic verses banned, and how they were able to have Rushdie stopped from entering that country. We must bear in mind, sisters and brothers, that a British passport holder does not need a visa to enter that country. And South Africa is the country where apartheid is practiced. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also a privilege for me to introduce to you our chairman for today, Brother Sharif Malnik. Brother Malnik, alhamdulillah, embraced Islam some 10 years ago. He is a lawyer holding a Juris Doctor from the US. He is a successful international businessman and presently resides in London. Sisters and brothers, Mr. Sharif Malnik.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Deedat, Brother Shamshad, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Before I introduce the honorable and distinguished speaker, I have been asked to read this to you. Satan, being thus confined to a vagabond, wandering, unsettled condition, is without any certain abode, for though he has, in consequence of his angelic nature, a kind of empire in the liquid waste or air, yet this is certainly part of his punishment, that he is without any fixed place or space allowed him to rest the sole of his foot upon. Has anyone here actually read or heard this passage before within the last 12 months?
Put up the hands.
Could you, with a show of hands, please, has anybody actually heard or read this?
One.
Yes, I see one and approximately 6,000 people here. This is actually the first page, the grand opening, the prologue, if you will, of the Satanic verses. It is really the great hoax of the 20th century that with over 1 million copies sold, with people willing to defend that book with their lives, that no one has actually read the book. And if someone says they have read it, I'm sure they don't understand what they've read. Because if you have read this book and you understand what you've read, then you would not have defended it, but you would have rallied against it. This book truly represents a conspiracy against the nation. We have been fooled, all of us. Satanic Salman aptly chose that passage, which I read to you, to describe himself with no abode, punished, and with no place to rest the sole of his foot. An interesting prediction. And yet, this book was given the Book Award. It is a standard of literature which our future generations will study and be influenced by. We cannot allow that to happen. You cannot afford to allow that to happen. I should like to mention, as many in our audience are familiar with our most honorable speaker, you may have noticed that today's program did not begin with a recitation from the Holy Quran. This is most unusual for our prolific speaker, as you are probably aware if you have seen any of the 65 videotapes produced by Sheikh Deedat and his organization, the Islamic Propagation Center International. The Holy Quran will not be recited today because the speaker shall deal with the actual contents of the Satanic verses. I say the actual contents because I'm sure that you don't know what this obscene book contains, and you have proved it here today, one hand in 6,000. It is the vulgar nature of the Satanic verses which precludes us from reading the Holy Quran to open the program today. But, ladies and gentlemen, somebody has to do the job. Do not despair. Sheikh Ahmed Deedat is here with us today, and he has done the job for us. He is the first person to deal with the contents, the actual contents of the Satanic verses, however distasteful this may be. He is not afraid to dirty his hands. For, in order to remove an impurity, one must necessarily dirty one's hands. Let us remember that it is Salman Rushdie and his defenders who have provoked and necessitated this response. I would like to warn the audience that passages from the Satanic verses will be read aloud. These passages are offensive to every decent man and woman. Unfortunately, there is no other way to properly deal with this subject. So I would suggest that we have 2 minutes. If there are any persons here who are prudish, or if there are any children here, I would suggest that they take this opportunity to leave the hall. You have been warned also in the advertisements that this is not for prudish men or women. It is necessary to lay out a few ground rules under which we shall operate today. We ask, or rather insist, that you remain calm and orderly. Do not attempt to break the stage security perimeter. At the end of the lecture, members of the audience are invited to ask questions related to the topic. Allow the speaker his uninterrupted time to speak, and then you may participate in the discussion by asking your questions at the appropriate time. I have no doubt that many who are present here today are genuinely seeking truth. Let our behavior today confirm that. It is my great privilege and honor to introduce a world-renowned Muslim scholar of the Christian Bible and comparative religions, director of the Islamic Propagation Center International in Durban, South Africa, the author of dozens of books, a great lecturer and debater who has debated with Jimmy Swaggart, the United States evangelist, Professor Clark, Dr. Robert Douglas of the Zwimmer Institute, and so on and so on. His credentials are too numerous to list here. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, respected elders, may I present Sheikh Ahmed Deedat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين صدق الله المولى العظيم. Mr. Chairman and brethren, the subject that has been advertised, as you read it in the paper, was not the original topic of discussion this afternoon. The original topic, as we wanted to advertise, was the subject of this book. Each and every one of you have it. If you have it in that envelope, please take it out. Have a look at it. Everyone is supposed to have this booklet. The cover, it says, How Salman Rushdie fooled the West. That is how we wanted to advertise, in two colors, which we had planned. We sent it over, the negatives, for publication. But the so-called British Free Press, they couldn't stomach it. How Rushdie fooled the West. They said they won't